Hello everyone. In today's video, I will discuss about urbanization and housing pattern. In this topic, basically, we will try to discuss the urbanization process, the geographical as well as the societal urbanization, the impact of urbanization over the housing pattern, and how the housing pattern and the urbanization simultaneously transforming and the changing in any urban centers. Video. Let's begin. First, we shall discuss about the urbanization. How sociology looks into the urbanization process. Basically, urbanization has its two the way there is two process, two pattern of urbanization. One is the geographical or administrative. That is expansion of the geographical area of a particular town or city beyond its the administrative boundary, and inclusion of the other areas into a particular town and city, and mainly this inclusion process is decided by the administration and on the basis of the particular law. So this is geographical expansion of the urbanization. Another the dimension of the geographical expansion is the increase of population. That is when the numbers of peoples the migrates, or the amount of peoples migrates from rural areas to the urban areas, is population grows. So growing of population is also considered as the geographical or administrative the urbanization, because once the population grows, the city extends and the more areas comes under its area under its the horizon. Then next comes the societal urbanization. Societal urbanization is actually the urbanization in terms of the social factors. So here societal urbanization can be understood best by the concept of the urbanism. Urbanism is basically a concept used by Louis Witt. There is urbanism as a way of life. So this urbanization can be understood in terms of the urban way of life. That is whether urban way of life exists in a particular place or not. So urbanism is a separate topic that I will discuss in another video, but here I am just mentioning what this societal urbanization means. It means when the urban way of life extends even beyond the boundary of any administrative town and city, and it even the follows in the suburban area. So that part also includes in the urban area or urban society, not urban area but urban society. So this is also urbanization process, because of the impact of urban areas, the more the areas in the suburb of any town and city comes under the influence of the urban way of life, and they also try to maintain or live a life like urban people. So this is what urbanization, there is societal urbanization. Now we shall discuss about the housing pattern. Basically, urban areas internally again are divided into numbers of areas or numbers of the zones: residential zone, administrative zone, and then the industrial zone if it is the industrial city. So primarily any urban town and centers is divided into the residential zone and the other, like the maybe the commercial, administrative, and the industrial zone. So again in the residential, particularly I will focus here is the residential pattern. There is the housing of the residential area in any town and cities with reference to India. That is, I will focus on the Indian scenario here. So here I will discuss that's how this urban the residential housing patterns are divided hierarchically. One area, one residential area is the sophisticated residential area in any urban center and town and city, and mainly this area is decided by the high business class, the rich class, upper middle classes, and others. Another the category of the residential area is the area which mainly resided by the lower middle class and middle classes. And third category of the residential area is, or third type of residential area is the area which mainly resided by the poor, the low income groups. Here two categories of these patterns, housing patterns you will find in the city and town is, one is chawls, another one is slum. Chawls means that is a particular building which is resided by large number of peoples, and they mainly lives with the very limited of the amenities, and it's very congested place. There is one room, mainly the one room, what to say, the arrangement for one family, or family may be bigger. And slums is a big area which is resided by large number of peoples with a very poor the amenities of life. So these are the three categories of the housing pattern. There is residential housing pattern exist in urban towns, cities and mega cities. And from these categories we can understand that there is hierarchical the residential pattern exists. There is a pattern of the housing is also hierarchically arranged and maintained. So with the process of urbanization, there is with the growth of the urbanization, these three residential areas, these three residential pattern of housing is also simultaneously growing. And the sophisticated areas are also expanding, because a large number of the high class people, the capitalist class or higher middle class peoples are trying to get the areas, the flats, apartments and the bungalows in their own, and they are also trying to live a luxurious and the lavish life. So once the city area, that is core area of the city, is filled up with all the sophisticated houses, buildings, flats, apartments, then they goes out of the city in the suburban areas. So like nowadays if you see the any towns and centers, towns, cities and mega cities, you will find many suburban areas are developing, are coming up with the large number of apartments and others. So these areas are becoming the sophisticated areas. That is, the rich peoples are mainly started living, and they are maintaining its their housing colony. And similarly, the second category of area is also growing. That is the areas which mainly resided by the middle class and lower middle class peoples. It's maybe in the core areas and even in the suburban areas. And the third category, that is slums and chawls, are also increasing because of other factors. So these factors I will discuss. Why chawls and slums areas are increasing and growing day by day in any urban areas? It's because of the large scale migration of the people from rural areas to the urban areas. Why large scale migration? So in a country like India, the large scale migration from rural area is happening because of because of the lack of livelihood, the lack of income and lack of their employment and the work in the rural areas. And in hope of getting a job and the work in the industrial sector, they are coming to the urban areas. And urban areas are already developed with number of equipments and infrastructures, so it becomes very difficult for these migrant workers, migrant peoples, to cope up or to live a urban living standard. That is why they find a place which is means easy for them, or it can be cheap for them, they can afford, so they find so the chawls and slums, and this is how these areas are growing day by day. So this we can say, so this is again another environmental problem which is creating. That is the problem which has started from the urban areas, because these places do not have proper amenities of life. People are living with very poor amenities, drinking water, the the sanitation, the housing, the even many things which are not well equipped. So ultimately it is because of the underdeveloped agriculture and the lack of the income of the poor peoples, and the industrializations overemphasis on the manufacturing is attracting these peoples to come, but they are not able to live the urban way of life, so that is why they are bound to live in these places. So here the remark, the poverty is the greatest pollution, is very applicable, because if the poverty is not reducing, so the pollution cannot be reduced. So ultimately the environmental problem in the urban areas is mainly because of the poverty of the rural people, poverty of the urban people. So we can say that urbanization process in India is creating a very wide income gap. That is, it can be very clearly visible which area is mainly decided by the rich people and which area is decided by the poor people. So it has become a very hierarchical, the residential pattern or housing pattern in any urban centers. This uneven urbanization process is creating inequality as well as the environmental problem. So environmental problems has a very deep impact, and what are the dimensions of environmental problems in the urban areas, that I will discuss in another video. So today I am ending this video here. So if you have any comment, any views, so put your comment in the comment box. Please like the video and share, subscribe. Thank you.